Hey guys, welcome back to yet another YouTube video, and the first of these videos with my wonderful face for quite some time now. So apologies. First of all, apologies for not uploading stuff for quite some time now. It's, of course, as if you guys know, in Australia, I'm in Melbourne. I'm living in Victoria here in Australia. We're currently in lockdown right now, so and we don't know when it's gonna end. So if you guys haven't if you guys are MotoGP fans who understand, this is kind of when silly season for 2022 rumble starts revving up. Yeah, a bit of a pun there. But before that though, before I talk about that, if I think you guys have all known, the MotoGP fans, or some of you guys haven't known, of course, there was a tragedy at just past weekend at the Italian Grand Prix at Mugello, of course, with Jason De Pasquier, who tragically lost his life in an accident in qualifying for Moto3. The MotoGP fraternity, and also the motorcycling world, and also probably the racing world entirely is still in shock over this. He was 19 years of age, and which shocks me and makes me more sad because, of course, if you guys don't know, I'm turning 21 in just over a month's time. He's 19. He was a rising star. He was going to be a rising star in MotoGP. Probably he, at some stage, probably would have gone to MotoGP. It would have been a MotoGP, but unfortunately, his life tragically cut short. Our thoughts goes out to, of course, to the De Pasquier family. The very tragic loss, and it's a big and it just reminds all us MotoGP fans that this is a dangerous sport. It's dangerous, and rest in peace to him, of course, a young star, rising star had his life cut way too short. So rest in peace to him. But let's talk about the MotoGP silly season for 2022, because there's been a lot of talk around in the past month about MotoGP silly season. So I've got so you can see down here, those who can see down here, I've got my laptop here again. I've got 5 articles, one from the official MotoGP website. Excuse me. A couple from, and the other 4 from one of my, as I said previously, my number one reliable resources for motorsport news, not only here in Australia but also around the world, speedcafe.com and also motorsport.com. So let's start off with the MotoGP article here today. So this one was published 12 days ago, so almost 2 weeks ago. And I'll read some of this article here now. It says 2022 MotoGP silly season. What do we know so far? So I'll probably read about maybe a sentence or two from it. I'm not going to tell you that completely. I might maybe put a link down in the description below to look at all these articles. So firstly, of course, VR46, of course, we all know Valentino Rossi will have his team in MotoGP next season. But there's one slight problem. Will it be on the Yamaha YZR M1s and move over there, or will he have his team go ride the Ducati Desmo Sedici GP bikes? Apparently he said a few weeks ago that it was 50-50, or some resources said it was 50-50, really. But recently I found this article on motorsport.com last night, and I'm only gonna read about, I said, a couple of sentences in this. So it says here, Ducati closing in on deals with VR46 and Gresini for 2022. Now, now it's now I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna read this now. I don't know what happened with my voice then. Ducati closing on deals with VR46 and Gresini that will see the brand's presence on MotoGP grid return to 8 bikes in 2022. So originally, Ducati has 6 bikes. So of course they had the factory. Of course they had the factory team. Then they have the satellite Pramac team. And then they have the Sponsorama Avintia team, but it's previously announced that they're not going to be a MotoGP anymore. They've announced not going to be a MotoGP team anymore. So that means that it's open. It's that now, of course, previously it was, and the reason why there's been rumors that it's been 8 bikes and adding Gresini to that list, and I'll do it more in depth later on, is that Gresini decided that they would not be in charge of the factory Aprilia organization anymore. They decided to quit that. So yeah, I thought previously, for my opinion, that they would stick with Aprilia, but as a satellite Aprilia team, and then of course the factory Aprilia team will be a team in its own right. But no, there's probably going to be closing in on a deal that, of course, Gresini will be a Ducati satellite team, and the VR46 team will add to that team as well. So back to the MotoGP article here. I'm reading down here. It says here. One of those major talking points at this stage of the campaign regarding silly season is what manufacturer Valentino Rossi's VR46 team will run in 2022 at Le Mans. And the doctor, so I was wrong. So I thought it was reliable resources, but it's actually Rossi himself said it was 50-50. So yeah. So it's looking more and more likely that the VR46 team is going to be racing with Ducati, with Ducati Desmo Sedici GP bikes. So that was what I originally thought, because if they switch to Yamaha, then that would mean that Luca Marini, who is already got experience on the Ducati and is also, everybody knows, Valentino Rossi's half brother, bring him over to Yamaha. That probably won't work to the advantage of Marini, and I would suggest that the second rider will be Marco Bezzecchi, who's racing in the VR46 team in Moto2. So I would suggest that he will be that second rider that will be in the VR46 MotoGP team next year. So I would, so that would play to Bezzecchi's advantage, because that would mean that he would get used to the Yamaha, while Marini will take slower because he's gotten used to the Yamaha. Well, not Yamaha. Sorry, got used to the Ducati. Then he has to get used to the Yamaha. While if you stay, or if his team stays with stays with Ducati, then that would mean that Marini would benefit, because that would mean that he's got a year experience on the with the GP. I think it was GP 19. I think it's a GP 19 or GP 20. Yeah, I think it's a GP 20, GP 19 that he's he's riding on. Well, I would suggest that he'll ride the GP 20. I won't be surprised if it's Bezzecchi that will be in the second rider. I won't be surprised if he gets a GP 19 and Marini gets a GP 20. But I don't know. I don't know how that's gonna work. With the 8 bikes. I won't, because that win will be even pretty much. But with the factory team and Pramac having the current GP having the current factory spec bikes, while VR46 and GRESINI have the GP20 and the GP19, or the GP21 or the GP20, and / the GP19. So yeah, the other one, the other rumor that's been on everyone's lips is for Valentino Rossi himself, the famous R word. The R word. Everyone's been saying the R word, retirement. Would that happen? Would it happen? Could this happen at some stage? It says here that he'll decide probably during the summer break. So it says here in this, it says here that Mugello, Catalunya, Sachsenring, and Assen are going to be huge bearings on Rossi's future as a rider. So of course Mugello, I can't remember. I can't remember where he finished in Mugello. I know he qualified way down the order, about 19th. I think he finished somewhere inside the points, maybe I think 13th or 14th. You guys can hopefully correct me down in the comment section below. You guys can please help me out with that. But he says he'll try and be there for 2022. I think, in my opinion, I think Rossi's retirement has been coming for the last year or two, in my opinion. I think because he's spent years and years and years carrying MotoGP on his back. I mean, when he retires, I don't know if it's this season or next season, but he deserves a freaking flaming holiday. Seriously, I mean, for a 42-year-old to still race at this level, applauds to him. But it's hard. But racing in the top level motorcycle with at that age, it's hard on the body, and I think that I think there's more of a chance that he'll retire at the end of this season than next season. I think. But that's just me. Hopefully, you guys again down in the comment section below. Do you think Rossi will retire this season, or do you think he'll go around again one more time next season? I think, but then again, I forgot to mention this earlier. Mentioned this a moment ago. But he probably want to retire with fans in attendance. Which I don't see that happening this year. I think maybe next year that might happen. So I think that he wants to retire with fans, and I think that it will happen. I won't be surprised if he decides to retire this year, but I also won't be surprised if he decides I'm going to go around again one more time. With fans in attendance, because he's been in MotoGP for 21 years. He's been in the World Championship for 26 years. Of course, this year is 20 years since his first 500 when he won his first 500cc World Championship in 2001. how appropriate. I was 1 year old when he won the world title, and I'm 21, and he's still going. Oh Jesus! So he just makes me feel old. Is good old the doctor, good old Valentino. But moving on, of course, Aprilia, Grissini, and of course Andrea Dovizioso. Now that's another big rumor is, could Andrea Dovizioso make a comeback? Now, now, if you guys didn't know, Andrea Dovizioso, he decided that he was going to take a sabbatical after leaving the Ducati factory team. You know, the reason why I say sabbatical because it's been like that around the racing world. Some people might say, "Oh, it's a sabbatical," but actually turns into retirement. And it's either that, or it's actually is a sabbatical 1 year out, and basically you come back in the World Championship. So that's been the recent rumors swirling around. Is that Andrea Dovizioso is test riding the Aprilia RSGP, the 2021 version, which I think's been the most improved bike out of all 6 bikes, in my opinion. I think it's been well, if you discount the French Grand Prix, they've been a regular top 10 runner with Alicia Spargo riding it. And there was, and it says here, there was whispers that he was going to run as a wild card at the San Marino Grand Prix at Mazzano, but that hasn't been, but nothing has really come about yet. Or I'm saying yet. It might not happen. It may happen. We don't know. But yeah. But we all know about Grissini. They're going to switch to Ducati machinery. But yeah. But Aprilia. I think for me. I think Aprilia. I think they're at a very interesting stage. I think they're getting close. They're getting closer to getting podiums. They're getting closer. It's just like KTM last year, of course. They had that dynamite season, and how appropriate they basically had the KTM factory team, which I'll be talking about later on as well, by the way. They had, of course, a fantastic race at Mugello, obviously, with Miguel Oliveira getting a podium and in third, well, second, but third because of a controversial penalty, which I'll get into, which I won't get into, and Brad Binder getting a 6th place finish, but just behind Jack Miller. I think it was behind Jack Miller anyway. Excuse me. So yeah. So I would suggest that Alicia Spargo, I would suggest would stay there. Now the second rider. Now where would you go with that? Would you? That's the problem. Would you still go? Would you still go with? Would you still go with Dovizioso? Would you still go with Lorenzo Salvadori, or would you go for someone like Fabio Di Antonio for the youngster, or if for example, if the VR46 team does go with Bezzecchi and not Enea Bastianini, then you can take him for sure. But I don't know about that. So yeah. So there is a possibility. Oh, and also speaking about Ducati, there was Pramac, and Pramac also, obviously they re-signed with Ducati for another 3 seasons. And of course, and also speaking about Jack Miller, his contract got renewed for next season for 2022, after of course winning the Spanish Grand Prix and the French Grand Prix. as well. So yeah. Then now I think we've covered Aprilia. I would think. Now we go to KTM. So I'll read this article here. So announcement that was made just yesterday was that Brad Binder was re-signed with KTM until 2024, which is of course a 3-year deal. So I'll read this sentence out here. KTM has announced it has re-signed one-time MotoGP race winner Brad Binder through to the end of the 2024 season after agreeing to a new 3-year deal. So he was going to be off contract at the end of this season, but now they've re-signed him for 2020 for the next 3 seasons. So, of course, he has spent pretty much all his career on a KTM. I mean, he's of course through the Red Bull rookies, then of course the main Red Bull KTM IO squad in 2016, and of course then of course graduating through Moto2, and then of course MotoGP, where he won at Brno last year. So yeah, but KTM they're probably the bigger players in this whole silly season, because we don't know exactly what their lineup's going to be. Well, for the factory team, we know, because apparently it says here that reading here that Miguel Oliveira is expected to stay for another season. Don't know if it's going to be just a 1-year deal, or is it going to be a multi-year deal, like a maximum of a 2-year deal or something. But apparently, what I read here, and I was surprised about this, it says here, at Tech 3, KTM looks set to shake up its lineup after it emerged that merged the automatic renewal period on Danilo Petrucci's contract has expired. So maybe there was maybe the date must have been May 30, maybe for renewal of Petric's contract, but yeah, I was not gonna be surprised if in 2022 Tech 3 would clear the decks, because I think for me, I wouldn't be surprised if they would lose patience in Iker Lecuona. I think he's been a bit. I think for me, some people might say I'm a bit harsh about this, but I think he's been a bit disappointing, to be honest. Everyone when he made his debut at the Valencian Grand Prix in 2019, everyone thought he's going to be the next Fabio Quartararo, but it hasn't happened. He hasn't shown that wow factor. You haven't seen something special out of him. No, maybe this weekend at the Catalonian Grand Prix we see something special. But anyway, I think they'll sack Iker, and of course they're going to let go Danilo, because of course they've missed out on that. I was going to suspect that Remy Gardner and Raul Fernandez, how appropriate they are 1 and 2 in the championship in Moto2, will be moving up is linked to a promotion to MotoGP via the Tech 3 team, which will be a very wise decision on KTM, and of course for Tech 3 with for Hervé Poncharal. These guys, I said that I said myself pre-season that the two guys that were going to be the most under pressure in 2021 was going to be the two Tech 3 riders, which were Petrucci and Lecuona, because of course there's so many good young riders currently in Moto2 and Moto3 and also in Red Bull rookies that they'll go up in the MotoGP very, very quickly. I mean, of course, Remy Gardner. I mean, we all know, us Aussies know the good amount of talent that he's had. Of course, getting podiums and a win on a 2019 Spec Calex Moto2 machine. Then he's because of that performance in the finale last year in 2020 at Portimao, then that earned him a spot on the Red Bull KTM IO squad, which I think he's been off the podium for all bar one race so far this season. Of course, he won last weekend in Mugello. So yeah. So I won't be surprised if him and his teammate Raul Fernandez basically goes up the MotoGP, which would be a massive deal for us Aussies. I mean, we've been for years and years and years we've had only Jack Miller be flying the flag for us Aussies. Now finally we're gonna have that second Aussie to barrack for basically in Remy Gardner, and it's nice to see the Gardner name back in the Premier class, because we all know he's, Remy's father Wayne, of course, as we all know him as well in Australian circles, of course, with his exploits in Supercar in the Australian Supercar Championship. But of course he was a 500cc world champion, of course a multiple winner of the Australian Motorcycle Grand Prix, and of course he had the enemy of winning in his farewell race. I think it was at Donington, I believe, in 1992. I can remember rightly. Well, I think it was his last race, so I'm not so sure about that. But it will be nice to see the Gardner name in there, and also I've figured out my own solution of basically how the KTM lineups of both Moto3, Moto2, and MotoGP would start out. So for me in MotoGP, no changes to the factory team. Of course, Binder and Oliveira, they're going to be in there. But the tech-free team, I would suggest that Raul Fernandez and Remy Gardner, I would suggest over the next few months they will be announced as the new tech-free riders for 2022. I would suggest that would leave two seats open at the Red Bull KTM IO Moto2 squad. And I would suggest that it'll be these two, Joao Macia and Pedro Acosta will be their replacements. I mean, of course, Acosta, he's going to be the next megastar of MotoGP. I mean, for him to, of course, he lost the championship lead. I think he's still in the title. I think he's still in the title lead. I would to suggest. So this is unplaying. Let's see what. So he's in the championship lead. He is. Let me do some quick maths real quick. He's got a 52-point lead. About six rounds in. So that is a massive championship lead at this stage of the season. At this stage, that is a pretty big championship lead, and it'll be more appropriate that Macia, his teammate, will get promoted up to Moto2 with him as well as his teammate again. So I think Acosta will be the one that will just go transfer very quickly from Moto3, Moto2, and MotoGP, just like you would in a normal MotoGP video game. Basically, just go Moto 3, world champion, Moto 2, world champion, and you're up to MotoGP. But I think Messiah will also get, if he stays this way, stays this way, I believe he'll be in Moto. I think he'll be in Moto 2 alongside Pedro Acosta. And then that would leave 2 open spots at the Red Bull KTM IO Moto 3 team. And I've got suggestions. I think that either Asumi Sasaki, who's currently in the Red Bull KTM Tech 3 team, or Dennis Onshu will get promoted up to the main Red Bull KTM IO squad, and the other will still be the leader of the Tech 3 team. I suggest this. I suggest that the Red Bull rookie, the Red Bull MotoGP Rookies Cup champion would go on straight onto the Red Bull KTM IO team, while the runner-up of that championship would ride in Tech 3. So that's my that would be my, well, I don't even call it solution. I think that my idea for KTM on its lineup in 2022. I want to know your suggestion for what KTM to do with their rider lineups in Moto 3, Moto 2, and MotoGP down in the comment section below. So yeah. Other than that, there is really not much to go by at this stage. It's been rather. I think it won't be a matter of time before some of these some of these moves will get ironed out. So watch for more news over the next coming week, over the next month or so, as the silly season for MotoGP in 2022 really heats up. So yeah, so that is pretty much it for this video. Like this video, share this to anybody who's a MotoGP fan. Comment down below, your feedback, and also what do you think what would happen? Do you think that Rossi will retire at the end of this season? Do you think he'll have one final year in MotoGP next year? Who knows? And also somewhere down there, there's this big red button which is subscribe, and also turn on notifications and click on the notifications bell for the next time I upload. Which you never know, you never know when. Basically, you never know me. I'm unpredictable with these type of things. So that is pretty much it. Until next time, guys. I'll see you guys later. And Jason DePasquier, rest in peace, my friend.